FDIC. In the studio, it is Michael Cassidy, a candidate for Congress on District 3. Michael, good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, Paul, good morning. Just one thing real quick. It's a current event. I want to make sure everybody who's listening knows that I 100% am opposed to any and all red flag laws. And on Super Talk recently, my opponent, Mr. Guest, he was kind of wishy-washy. He said he doesn't really like them, but he'd have to look at the bill more to see what else is in this bill that John Cornyn and a lot of rhinos up on Capitol Hill, that they're pushing to get a red flag bill passed. And he's kind of wishy-washy about it. I would strongly oppose it. And it's that kind of, let's see what else is in the bill to have on, that we just can't have that kind of mindset when it comes to red flag.
You would wait a minute. You would oppose a red flag addition to the bill if it passes in any form. In other words, if someone was convicted of, if someone has a spousal abuse charge against them and a restraining order, there are guns in the house, and they have threatened to shoot the spouse, you wouldn't go that far.
Paul, what I'm saying is that any red flag law, just like the ones that the Senate, both Democrats and a handful of Republicans, even some that have had A+ ratings, like John Cornyn of Texas, when they're saying that we're going to put these red flag bills into law, that's something that is a slippery slope against the Second Amendment, and we got to stand against. I
understand that, but what I'm saying is, you would do that categorically and vote no on anything that's a red flag before you're seeing what specifically that language is in the bill.
What a red flag law does is that it takes away due process. It is antithetical to the Bill of Rights. And that, as a strong constitutional conservative, I oppose any infringement on the Second Amendment, and my opponent feels differently.
Let me ask you about this, because one of the things I've got more feedback from this is what you had on America First, your America First plan. And I think you've taken this off, but it's part of what you wanted people to know to vote for you. Banning corporations, hedge funds, foreign entities from owning private residences and farmland, which will reduce the demand in housing market and lower price. Are you still for that or against that? Because I think it was one of the things you took down.
Nope, not at all. That's something I think that one of the big parts of America First is that we care about Americans first, and that that part of the huge rise in housing prices has come from, the illegal immigration that we have, a problem that we need to deport all illegal immigrants. We need to build the wall. We need to put additional border patrol on the wall, maybe even military if we don't have enough border patrol. Yeah. We need to have strong E-Verify. We need to get rid of birthright citizenship, all things that my pro-amnesty opponent disagrees with. So that's part of housing price increases. Another part of housing price increases is that the Federal Reserve will give some of these massive corporations, I'm not talking about like a farmer's LLC. I'm talking about places like BlackRock. Places like Bank of America, like Goldman Sachs, that they can get interest rate at like 0.25% interest. They get these multi-billion-dollar loans of money that's just simply printed from the Federal Reserve, and then they buy, and they drive the supply down, which drives prices
Short segment. I got to ask a couple of other questions, though, because this one astounds me. Providing newlyweds with a $20,000 wedding gift paid back if the couple divorces. Where the hell did that come from in your mind?
So, Paul, do you think that families are in a good place in this country? You think the American family's in decline?
That's not what some are, some are not.
Well, you're asking where some of my views are coming from, and I'm saying that I think that the American family is in. Paul, look, can I answer the question? The American family's in decline, and so I thought that taking previously allocated welfare money that goes against family formation could potentially go to make to support family formation. That's not part. But then I got feedback from conservatives that say, you can have a more conservative platform. I agreed. That's why I'm in favor of my platform is to have a child tax deduction. I wish I could contrast a family plan of mine with a family plan of my opponent, Mr. Guest, but he has no plan. He has no policies on anything.
this comes from your thought process. That's why it's disturbing to a lot of conservatives when you do this. Giving married couples or married citizens a $250 a month stipend for children under 10 and $500 a month for children between the ages of 10 and 17 years old. Where is that money going to come from, and what are the stipulations as far as the income is concerned?
Paul, I think something
it sounds to me like, Michael, like a Democrat for the most part.
Paul, I think something that's more disturbing to conservatives is giving money to Planned Parenthood. And that's something that I refuse to do. I will never vote for a single bill that will give a dime of money to Planned Parenthood. My opponent in 2018, he said that he would oppose funding of Planned Parenthood twice. In 2020 and 2022, he has said he has voted, and he has defended these votes. He has given over $1 billion to the nation's largest provider of abortion. And not just abortion, but they also give, in some states, they give children sex hormones. That's not conservative, sir. That's not conservative at all.
I always, and I mentioned this on the air, and there are certain things that Michael has, and number the January 6th thing, and I've talked to him about that on the air, and he's coming on, and I'll challenge him on that also. But it riles me as a guy who's been in politics for a long time when somebody uses the Planned Parenthood on here. I think most of the people out there know Michael Guest, and know Michael Guest is far from supporting PPH, Planned Parenthood. And what you're basically saying is if there is a bill out there that has everything that we need, and as far as military infrastructure for the state, as far as the schools, everything else, and you cannot vote against, and you vote for it, because you can't stop the Planned Parenthood. Sometimes you have to take the good with the bad. I'll say it this way. If that little clause is in there, sometimes it's in gray area, then chances are Michael Cassidy will never vote for a budget as long as you're in there.
Paul, the very first day that Michael Guest was in office, January 3rd, 2019, he voted to continue a federal shutdown. So he's not opposed to the idea of not giving the government revenue. Multiple bills in the first week of Congress, he voted to keep the government shut down. So he can't say that he's all high and mighty. Oh, I'll never shut down the government. We have to always give it funding, including Department of Homeland Security. So he voted January of 2019 to not give the federal government money. But then when Planned Parenthood money is on the table, that, we just got to do it, boys. And that's something that is the clear contrast between my opponent and myself, is that he will vote to give Planned Parenthood money, and I will never vote on any bill that gives Planned Parenthood money.
I would challenge him on this one also, that apparently is part of your mindset in America First, creating a maternal leave program with 5 years of benefits.
That is the exact same thing we just talked about a few minutes ago. That is the feedback I got from people, is that we can be more conservative, and that's not. I agree. That's not something that is part of my platform. I'm always willing to look for better, more conservative options to things. My opponent, Mr. Guest, he again has no family plan. He doesn't talk about anything about protecting children from the leftist influence in our schools, against the leftist influence in our military. He says nothing. I say that we have to do things like Ron DeSantis is doing. We have to get this twisted gender ideology out of our education system. And that's something that my opponent, he's silent on. And that's really what the race boils down to, is people in the base are fed up with complicit politicians in D.C. that don't fight the left.
All right. What you're saying, Michael, is that if a majority of the people start contacting you, as far as, let's just say the scenario I gave you a few moments ago about spousal abuse, a threat to a spouse, firearms in the house and all that, and they wanted to do that one thing on red flags, then you would change your mind if the majority of conservatives called you and said,
that is not, no, Paul, you're misrepresenting what I'm saying. I'm saying that if I get that, I'm always willing to hear feedback on issues. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to change for example, election integrity. That's my top issue. We need to get back to paper ballots. We need to have voter ID. We need to get rid of ballot drop boxes. I wish I could compare this to my opponent. I'd love to have a debate with him. Paul, maybe would you be the host of the debate? Would you be willing to host a debate?
Is this still in here or not? Expanding the child tax credit from $3,600 to $10,000. Non-refundable deduction for those not currently receiving government assistance. Is that still part of your platform, yes or no?
It is not. It was never a tax credit. I'm talking about a child tax deduction, which allows families to keep more of their own income. It keeps more of their own income. But I'd love to talk about this in a debate. Paul, would you be willing to host a debate with Super Talk with me and Mr. Guest?
Absolutely. Put it together and we'll take care of it, sir. Michael, thank you. I wish we had you more time, and good luck to you.